The message arrived like a hammer strike across the solar system, transmitted simultaneously to every human colony, every flagship, and every station orbiting Nova Terra. High resolution, perfectly synchronized, it carried the voice of the Galactic Council, ancient, commanding, and absolute. "This is your final warning," intoned the High Arbiter Kyr'Nath, his presence filling every communication channel as if you were standing inside the command room itself. "Cease expansion beyond Sol. Surrender your fleets. Comply, or your species will be extinguished. You have 12 standard hours." A stunned silence followed. Across Nova Terra, in council chambers and military command centers, leaders froze, fingers hovering over controls, mouths half open in disbelief. 12 hours. 12 hours to respond to a death sentence delivered by a coalition older than humanity's homeworld. Captain Elara Voss stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, her eyes locked on the holographic projection of the Arbiter. Her hands rested lightly on the railing, but her mind raced through scenarios faster than any computer could calculate. The Council expected panic, hesitation, surrender, but they had misjudged humans before. "We can't just bow," said Admiral Joran, his face pale. 12 hours isn't enough to evacuate colonies, let alone negotiate. If we defy them, they'll annihilate us," Elara finished, her voice calm, measured. "I know. But listen carefully, they believe they understand us. They believe our ingenuity has limits. They are wrong." A murmur ran through the bridge. Crew members exchanged uncertain glances. Fear was inevitable, but defiance was in humanity's DNA. Elara tapped a sequence into the console, and the ship's intelligence interface blinked to life, highlighting every human colony within striking distance of Council-controlled space. "They've underestimated how far we've come," she continued. "Every colony, every fleet, every mind, they think it's disorganized. We'll show them coordination they never anticipated. But we must be precise. No mistakes." Lieutenant Kirahan, the tactical officer, frowned. "Precision under pressure won't save us if they strike first. The Council fleet could arrive before we finish mobilizing." Elara allowed herself a thin smile. "That's why we won't wait. We strike first. Not with brute force, never with brute force, but with strategy. We've been studying them. Their assumptions, their communication patterns, their fleet formations. We know their overconfidence is their weakness." Outside the bridge viewport, the pale blue of Nova Terra shimmered. Cities glittered like constellations, unaware that their fate had been declared by an alien hand. The human colonies weren't merely population centers, they were laboratories of resilience, hubs of innovation, and repositories of secrets the Council could never imagine. "Captain," Kira pressed, "if we act as aggressors. Humanity could be branded as the first to strike. Will that unify the colonies, or shatter them?" Elara's gaze hardened. "Fear fractures species. Courage unites them. We will not start a war, we will survive one. The choice is theirs to follow. But we lead, because survival waits for no one." She turned toward the holomap, a lattice of star systems connected by glowing filaments of human trade and communication routes. "Quantum displacement technology. It's experimental, yes, but functional. We can destabilize their ships long enough to escape or even inflict significant damage." A sharp intake of breath echoed across the bridge. Even among the most hardened officers, the audacity was palpable. "Are you suggesting we can fight them?" Admiral Joran's voice shook slightly, betraying both excitement and fear. "We can outthink them," Elara said, voice low but firm. "Not in brute numbers, not in raw firepower, but in tactics they cannot predict. They expect human desperation, human panic. We'll give them something else, human ingenuity." Kira leaned forward, studying the strategic overlay. "It's risky. If we fail, the Council's retaliation is absolute. Entire colonies. They will fall if we hesitate," Elara interrupted. "And hesitation is exactly what the Council expects. No. We move, we calculate, we strike, not blindly, but decisively. Silence followed, heavier than before. The weight of 12 hours pressed against every mind on the bridge. And yet, beneath the tension, a spark ignited, a spark that only humans could muster: audacity. A soft chime alerted them to incoming transmissions from Nova Terra's Planetary Defense Command. Elara activated the feed. The governor's face appeared, pale but resolute. "Captain Voss," she said. "Council message confirmed. Citizens are panicking. Some factions already preparing to flee." "Orders?" "Calm them," Elara replied. "Communicate this: humanity does not surrender. We survive. We adapt. And we will." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle over the feed, "show the galaxy what humans are capable of when pushed to the edge." As the transmission ended, the bridge fell into a tense rhythm of preparation. Officers coordinated fleet deployments, shuttles readied for emergency maneuvers, and research teams scrambled to finalize quantum destabilizer calibration. Every action had a purpose, every second counted. Elara moved to the center of the bridge, her voice steady, commanding. "Listen carefully. The Council believes humanity is predictable. They are wrong. Tonight, we begin the first phase of a plan they cannot comprehend. Every fleet, every colony, every mind contributes. We strike not to dominate, but to survive. And if survival requires it, we strike to teach the galaxy that humans are not to be underestimated." The words echoed in the bridge, and a quiet determination settled over the crew. Fear remained, but it was tempered by resolve, sharpened into a weapon just as deadly as any laser or torpedo. Outside, the stars continued their silent orbits. Humanity had 12 hours before the galaxy's oldest and most powerful coalition passed judgment. But Captain Elara Voss did not flinch. 12 hours was enough. 12 hours was all it took to ignite a reversal that would make even the High Arbiter rethink his certainty. The bridge lights dimmed, consoles glowing like the eyes of a predator in the dark. Humanity's counterstrike was about to begin. And the Council, proud, ancient, and arrogant, had no idea what was coming. The silence of space was deceptive. Between Nova Terra and the Council's border, fleets drifted like predatory shadows, sensors alive with the hum of engines and distant starlight. Humanity's ships, far smaller and fewer than the Council's, hugged asteroid fields and magnetic storms, weaving a web the aliens would never suspect. Captain Elara Voss stood at the helm of the Indomitable, watching tactical projections ripple across the bridge. She didn't need the numbers to know the odds: 100 Council ships against 20 Terran vessels. They were outgunned, out-armored, and underestimated. "Perfect. Phase 1 begins now," Elara said, her voice carrying calm authority. "Remember, we strike unpredictably. No linear engagement. Hit their sensors, their communications, their assumptions. Confusion is our ally." Lieutenant Kirahan's fingers danced over the console. "Enemy scouts detected. 4 frigates on intercept course. Should we engage or draw them into the trap?" Elara's eyes narrowed. "Draw. Let them believe they've cornered us. We'll give them a story they want to read, and then rewrite it entirely." The first shots were unconventional, disruptive pulses from the quantum destabilizers, carefully calibrated to interfere with Council shields without risking catastrophic feedback to human ships. The Council vessels shuddered in space, engines flaring unexpectedly, their formation faltering as though an invisible hand had struck them. Across the bridge, murmurs of awe mixed with tension. "It's working," muttered Ensign Perel, eyes wide as the projections showed Council frigates spinning out of formation. "Working?" Elara's gaze met his. "It's only the beginning. Focus. We don't just survive by luck, we survive because we adapt faster than they can predict." The Council's arrogance became painfully clear. Their dreadnoughts, massive engines and elegant hulls designed to intimidate lesser races, hesitated. Their command protocols assumed humans would panic, scatter, or surrender. Instead, humanity moved as one, exploiting every flaw, anticipating every hesitation. "Captain," Kira said sharply, "we have a communication from the Council flagship." The holoconsole flickered, revealing the unmistakable visage of High Arbiter Kyrarnath. His voice was calm, almost patronizing. "Captain Voss," he said, "you overestimate your capabilities. Stand down, or your species will learn the cost of arrogance." Elara leaned forward. "Kyrarnath, your fleet is beautifully designed, for obedience. Humans are not obedient. We are resourceful. And resourcefulness is not something your calculations can contain." The Arbiter's eyes narrowed, and for the first time, a trace of unease crossed his features. He had faced numerous civilizations, each believing they were exceptional until they were erased. Humans, however, seemed to have a spark he had never encountered. "Fools," he hissed, turning away. "Engage them fully. Do not let one vessel escape." Elara's tactical team moved in fluid synchronization. One fleet decoy drew Council attention while the Indomitable slipped through asteroid belts, cloaked by electromagnetic interference. Torpedoes fired from concealed human vessels found gaps in shields, crippling smaller ships before the Council could recalibrate. "Target priority, frigates first, then communications array," Elara ordered. "We disrupt, we delay, and we survive." In the middle of the chaos, a sudden alarm rang out. "Captain! Boarding signals detected, Council covert operatives approaching our freighter fleet near Lyrian cluster." "Not a problem," Elara said, determination steel in her voice. "Send counter-boarding teams. Keep them occupied. Every second they spend boarding, they're not coordinating their attack." While human ships danced through the gravitational anomalies of Lyrian, Elara allowed herself a brief glance at her crew. Fear was still there, eyes darted, hands trembled, but it was tempered by resolve. The difference between panic and precision was a mindset, and humanity had learned it under pressure. "Quantum destabilizers ready," Kira announced. "I need authorization to engage the Dreadnought." Elara's mind calculated the risk in a heartbeat. "Engage. Carefully. Minimal exposure. Make it seem accidental, like a sensor error. We want them shocked, not suspicious." A blinding ripple tore through the Council Dreadnought systems. Engines faltered. Weapons locked. Communications scrambled. The Council officers' confidence wavered as their calculations failed spectacularly. Humans were unpredictable, unlike anything they had faced in millennia. From the corner of the bridge, Ensign Perel whispered, "They're panicking." "I think they're panicking." Elara smiled faintly. "Good. Let them panic. Confusion is contagious when led by precision. Maintain pressure. Move. Strike. Survive." Elsewhere, human colonies coordinated silently. Subspace relays transmitted encrypted instructions. Research teams made last-minute tweaks to destabilizers, even non-military fleets contributed, their activity choreographed into a single, flowing strategy. The galaxy's most powerful coalition was scrambling, reacting to moves they couldn't anticipate. Kyrarnath realized too late that human unpredictability was no mere fluke. He attempted to issue counterorders, but his fleet was already entangled in the chaos. Dreadnoughts immobilized, frigates scattered, reconnaissance disrupted. He barked commands, but the human offensive was surgical, adaptive, and relentless. "Captain," Kira said, tension sharp in her voice, "Council Dreadnoughts are attempting formation repair. They're stabilizing for a counterstrike." Elara's fingers tapped a series of commands on her console, opening new hyperspace corridors and repositioning decoys. "Then we escalate. Let them recover partially, they'll be predictable now. That's when we hit the final sequence." A sudden explosion rocked the projection of the Council flagship. Fragments of enemy frigates tumbled, silent against the void. Crew members on the bridge caught their breath, the enormity of their accomplishment sinking in. "Captain," Admiral Joran said quietly, "we've never seen the Council react like this." "They're stunned." "Good," Elara replied. "Let them be stunned. But remember this, their pride is their weapon, and their arrogance their shield. We've pierced it once, but the battle is far from over." We move again, every action calculated, every maneuver precise. The Indomitable surged forward, weaving through the field of wreckage, human ingenuity shining brighter than the stars around them. Even in the chaos, the crew understood one truth: they were more than their ships. They were humans, and humans did not yield. As the first phase of the counterstrike concluded, the Council fleet limped away, disorganized and shaken. KYR Arnath retreated to reassess. His eyes burned with the realization that humans were not only surviving, they were rewriting the rules of engagement in real time. Elara, standing tall on the bridge, looked at her crew. Today, we survived because we dared. Tomorrow, we will show the galaxy the true cost of underestimating humanity. Prepare for the next phase. They will come again, but they will come to a trap of their own making. The stars outside seemed indifferent, but within the calculated chaos of the human fleet, a force had emerged the galaxy would never forget. Humanity had struck first, and for the first time, the Council was afraid. The void between Nova Terra and the Council's capital was alive with tension. Every star seemed sharper, every shadow darker, as though the galaxy itself held its breath. Humanity had struck first and survived, but the High Arbiter KYR Arnath was no fool. He would not allow humiliation to stand. Captain Voss, Kira said, eyes scanning tactical projections, Council dreadnoughts are mobilizing in full force. Sensors indicate KYR Arnath personally commands the fleet. They're coming straight for us. Elara's jaw tightened. Good. That makes prediction easier. They believe sheer might will crush us, that humans respond only to threats. But we respond to opportunity. The Indomitable slipped through the shadows of an asteroid belt, cloaked by the turbulence of electromagnetic storms. Behind them, human fleets fanned outward, coordinating with colonies across the system. The trap was nearly complete. Admiral Joran approached, brow furrowed. This is risky. We're luring their command fleet into a collapsing wormhole field. If we miscalculate. We won't, Elara interrupted. Every calculation, every variable has been considered. Humanity survives not by chance, but by anticipating chaos. The first Council ships entered the wormhole corridor, massive dreadnoughts leading the charge. KYR Arnath's voice crackled over the communications channel, cold and precise. Captain Voss, do you truly believe your species can outmaneuver the Council? Your efforts amuse me, but amusement has a cost. Elara's reply was calm, almost conversational. We don't believe, Arbiter. We know. And knowing is different from assuming. As the Council fleet surged forward, human vessels activated the wormhole collapse sequence. Space itself groaned, gravitic eddies twisting and tearing at the edges of reality. Dreadnoughts were caught mid-transition, their engines flaring as spatial currents tore through hulls and shields alike. Sensors overloaded, weapons misfired. The Council's might faltered. From the Indomitable, Ensign Perel watched in awe. They're trapped. They can't maneuver. Not trapped, Elara corrected, eyes scanning every system. They're exposed. An exposure is temporary, but decisive action is permanent. Human ships moved with surgical precision, firing destabilizer torpedoes and energy pulses calibrated to exploit the Council's compromised positions. Dreadnoughts faltered, frigates collided, and communication lines ruptured. The Council's fleet, once the embodiment of absolute control, was chaos incarnate. KYR Arnath's composure cracked. This is impossible. Humans should not. They adapt, Elara finished, voice carrying across subspace. We survive. We endure. And we will define the rules of engagement, not you. In the midst of destruction, one human vessel moved directly toward the High Arbiter's flagship. It wasn't an attack, at least, not in the conventional sense. Sensors and destabilizers were tuned to interfere with the command systems. The dreadnought shuddered as consoles sparked and engines stuttered. KYR Arnath's personal control over the fleet was slipping. Admiral Joran leaned over Elara's shoulder. This is unprecedented. Even if the fleet survives, their leadership is crippled. Exactly, Elara said. Control is perception. Remove perception, and even the mightiest fall. Watch closely, this is the difference between species that survive and those that fade. Across the galaxy, colonies watched in real time as humans reshaped the battlefield. Messages of astonishment and hope spread quickly. Humanity was no longer vulnerable. They were a force the Council could not dismiss, a species that had learned to exploit weakness in the most absolute of systems. Kyr Arnath's voice, once commanding, now trembled with frustration. Captain Voss, you will pay for this insolence. Every human will pay. Elara's response was steady, almost serene. You've already begun paying, Arbiter. The cost of underestimating humanity is measured in ships, strategies, and pride. It's a price you cannot recover from tonight. As the Council's fleet attempted a retreat, human forces executed containment maneuvers, cutting off escape routes with rapid precision. Ships moved like extensions of one mind, decoys and feints weaving a web of calculated threats. Every Council attempt to regain composure was met with human foresight. Captain, Kira said, they're trying to regroup around the Vedra system. If they escape there, they can rebuild quickly. Elara's eyes narrowed, calculating the necessary steps. Then we don't let them regroup. Deploy intercept fleets. Synchronize destabilizers. Every exit point, every hyperspace corridor, they're going to find themselves trapped at every turn. This ends tonight. The final assault was a demonstration of human ingenuity at its finest. Small fleets outmaneuvered larger vessels, destabilizers disrupted shields in ways the Council never anticipated, and the wormhole fields collapsed with surgical timing. Dreadnoughts that had once inspired terror now drifted in helpless orbit, their power nullified by strategy and audacity. Kyr Arnath, watching his fleet unravel, realized the magnitude of his miscalculation. Humans were not merely surviving, they were orchestrating a reversal that no species in Council history had ever achieved. Elara stood at the bridge, silent for a moment, letting the weight of victory settle. Signal them, she said finally. Let them know the cost of their arrogance. Let them understand that humans are no longer a species to be underestimated. A transmission went out across subspace, simple and precise. Arbiter Kyr Arnath, this is Captain Elara Voss of the Terran Flagship Indomitable. Humanity has survived your judgment and rewritten the outcome. We demand recognition as equals in this galaxy. Further aggression will be met with calculated response. This is not a threat, it is fact. Across the fleet, human crews cheered quietly, tension releasing in controlled waves. Ships maneuvered to safe coordinates, not celebration, but readiness. Victory was achieved, but survival demanded vigilance. Kyr Arnath, his pride shattered, acknowledged the transmission in silence. For the first time, the Council was forced to see humans as a legitimate galactic power. Their arrogance had been met with audacity, their confidence with ingenuity. Captain, Kira said softly, eyes still on the tactical display, we actually did it. We beat them. Elara shook her head slightly, a wry smile forming. We didn't beat them. We survived, and we reminded the galaxy that humans are a force that cannot be ignored. That is far more important than any single victory. The stars outside glimmered coldly, indifferent to human triumph, yet within that indifferent void, a species had proven its worth. The galaxy had trembled, not because humans sought war, but because they refused to be dismissed. And for the first time in millennia, the Council understood, some fires could not be extinguished, some species could not be contained, and humans, resilient, audacious, unpredictable humans, would not yield. The void was quiet now, almost deceptively so. The remnants of the Council fleet drifted in disarray, fragmented and directionless, their once pristine formations shattered like brittle glass. Humanity had survived, but survival always came with cost. Captain Elara Voss stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, arms crossed, eyes scanning the aftermath through reinforced viewports. Reports of damaged colonies and disabled supply convoys filtered in over comms. None were lost, but the scars of chaos were visible. Damage report, she said, her voice steady, commanding focus rather than fear. Lieutenant Kirahan's fingers flew across the console. Minimal casualties, Captain. Quantum destabilizers functioned as predicted. 3 human frigates suffered hull breaches during the wormhole sequence, but all crews are stable. We lost no colonies, Nova Terra intact, Lyrian cluster secure, all fleets accounted for. Elara allowed herself a momentary nod. Good. But secure is not the same as safe. We need to anticipate retaliation. KYR Arnath will not forgive humiliation easily. And the Council may underestimate humans again, but they will not ignore us. From the corner of the bridge, Ensign Perel hesitated. Captain, communication from the Arbiter. He requests a formal meeting on neutral territory. He wants to speak. Elara's gaze sharpened. He wants to gauge our limits. He wants to see if humanity can be intimidated into submission. Prepare a transmission. I'll respond. The hollow feed flickered, revealing the Arbiter's face, rigid and severe. Captain Voss, he began, voice measured, you have survived where others would have failed. Your species demonstrates adaptability, ingenuity, and audacity. Yet the Council is not blind to your strengths. We must negotiate terms before further conflict arises. Humanity will be observed, and judged, on your willingness to cooperate. Elara met the transmission calmly. Arbiter KYR Arnath, humanity survives through courage and intellect, not blind obedience. We will engage in dialogue, but know this, humans do not compromise survival for comfort, nor surrender pride for convenience. Treat us as equals, or prepare to meet resistance again. The Arbiter's eyes flickered, betraying the faintest trace of uncertainty. Even a species as ancient and disciplined as the Council could not fully grasp the scope of human unpredictability. Very well, KYR Arnath replied, masking irritation. Neutral territory. Coordinates transmitted. Prepare for travel. Elara turned to her crew. Prepare the Indomitable. Navigation, shields, all systems at maximum readiness. This is not a victory lap, it's diplomacy under fire. We survive not only by fighting but by thinking ahead. As the ship moved toward the designated coordinates, human colonies erupted in controlled celebration. Not loud fanfare, but messages of pride and solidarity rippled across systems. Humanity had endured, and the galaxy now recognized it. The cost had been heavy, but the triumph was profound. Kira's voice interrupted Elara's thoughts. Captain, fleet sensors are picking up Council reconnaissance. They're cautious, probing every route. They've learned quickly from the last engagement. Good, Elara said. They must. Complacency is their weakness, but caution is temporary. We will use it. Keep the destabilizers active, but subtle. Let them believe they observe us, but we observe them more closely. The neutral meeting point was a small, uninhabited system orbiting a quiet star. Asteroids and debris fields provided natural cover, and human ships arrived first, concealed and ready. When the Council fleet entered the system, its dreadnoughts scanning, humans remained ghost-like, undetectable to casual observation. The Arbiter's envoy materialized in a neutral dock, a massive Council frigate, sleek and intimidating. Elara stepped onto the vessel, flanked by her senior officers, moving with calm authority. KYR Arnath awaited, expression unreadable. You've brought humans to my doorstep, he said, tone even but carrying subtle menace. Why not surrender while you can? Elara's eyes were steady. Because humans do not surrender. We negotiate because we can, because we are capable of compromise without submission. Your fleet will see our intentions, cooperation, yes, but not at the expense of survival or pride. The Arbiter studied her. You survived the first engagement. Your fleets outmaneuvered my dreadnoughts. Your colonies remain intact. You have forced me to reconsider assumptions I have held for centuries. And yet, Elara said, voice calm but firm, you still underestimate us. You see only ships and tactics. You do not understand resilience, ingenuity, or the determination of a species that refuses to vanish quietly. Kyr Arnath remained silent, evaluating, calculating. His pause was acknowledgement of something humans had always claimed: audacity, cleverness, and unity could overcome raw strength. The meeting concluded with a tenuous understanding. Humanity's rights to defend and expand its territories were recognized, albeit begrudgingly, and the Council agreed to limited observation. There would be restrictions, but humans now had a voice in galactic affairs, proof that Defiance, when measured in strategic, could yield survival and respect. Back aboard the Indomitable, Elara addressed her crew. Today, we proved something greater than tactics or firepower. We proved that humanity, when united, cannot be dismissed. This is not the end of the journey. The galaxy is vast, and threats will continue to arise. But we survived, we adapted, and we emerged stronger. Kira nodded, watching as communications from colonies and fleets streamed in. Captain, the people are inspired. Reports of morale, innovation, and cooperation are off the charts. Humanity, we've changed the galaxy's perception of ourselves. Elara allowed herself a brief smile. Good. Let them remember this. Let every human know that courage, intelligence, and unity are the weapons that ensure survival. And let the galaxy know, we will never be ignored. Outside, stars glittered silently, indifferent to human triumph. Yet within the quiet void, a species had proven its worth, not merely by surviving, but by asserting its place among the stars. Humanity had not only endured, they had reshaped the rules, forcing even the most ancient civilizations to reconsider what it meant to face an underestimated foe. The Indomitable moved through the neutral system, a symbol of human tenacity, audacity, and foresight. The galaxy would remember this day, not as a defeat of one fleet by another, but as the moment humanity announced its arrival as a force impossible to ignore. And Captain Elara Voss, standing tall on the bridge, knew that the real test was only beginning. Survival had been won, but the future, vast, uncertain, and dangerous, awaited. And humanity, she knew, was ready for it.